It finally quit raining in the big state of Texas, and it looks like we're going to have nice weather for the coming weekend. So you guys that love to run to the rigs, gas up the boat. Or if you feel like keeping it cool, maybe you should wade for your favorite inshore fish. It's time to go fishing here on the Texas Insider Fishing Report.
Welcome to the Texas Insider Fishing Report. Presented by Yamaha.
Welcome back to the Texas Insider Fishing Report. We're your hosts, Brie Gabrielle and Captain Rick Murphy, taking you into this next weekend with tons of great fishing reports from around the state. Rick, we're dead into summertime and it's hot, but I think our captains have some tips and tricks to tell us that will get the job done. What do you think?
Well, we know they do because they're all the experts in their given field. So I want to say I'm really looking forward to seeing how they're adjusting their fishing reports over the next few weeks because it is hot.
It's hot. Well, I'm excited too. All right, someone else who always has tips and tricks is our captain of the CCA Workbench, Dave Ferrell, along with his co-captain.
We got Ridge
Murphy.
We're going to talk a little bit about catching a blue marlin on a center console boat today.
Ooh, sounds like fun to me.
Why not?
Why not, right? Why not? All right, first up, we have our yummy Prospect Smokehouse Lower Fresh region to explore with Matt Reed as he touches on Lake Somerville, Choke Canyon, Fayette County, Travis, LBJ, and Decker. Get us started, Matt.
All right, let's get this thing rolling. We're going to start off talking about largemouth bass. Choke Canyon down just south of San Antonio area has been fishing really well lately. The inside grass lines of the Hyde Villa early in the morning are just getting better and better. The bass seem to be feeding more, even though it's getting hotter. Spinnerbaits and top waters fished in the open holes of the Hyde Villa beds are getting it done. Weightless Texas rig soft plastics are also very good. One of the amazing things at Choke Canyon this week, there was a 14.69 largemouth caught in 5 foot of water on that inside grass line. That's an absolute summertime monster. Main lake points and ledges where there's no grass, I've been catching them on Carolina rig and crankbaits. We've got some big news out of Lake Somerville. It's finally open again. Overlook Park boat ramp is open, and it's been closed for several months because of high water. The black bass are good early in the morning on white buzz baits and bone-colored topwaters around the dam and the flooded brush. Moving to Fayette County, it continues to kick out some big ones right now out deep in that 15 to 25 foot range. Football jigs, big 10-inch worms on shaky heads, and drop shots have been doing the trick. The bite's been early and late, so that's when it's been best. But next week with the full moon, be a great time to get out and do some night fishing. You can avoid the heat and have a great time catching big ones. A Colorado bladed spinnerbait in dark colored, and also big dark colored worms around the discharge and the grass flats will be your best areas for success. Moving to the Austin area, Lake Travis has been fishing well. Full summertime mode there. There's fish schooling around the marinas and also in the back of main lake coves. You can catch those fish on small swim baits in any top water where they're busting. Later in the day, get you a small finesse worm or a trick worm, move out in that deeper water in that 15 to 30 foot range, and that's a great way to catch you some numbers. LBJ is fishing well. Early morning, you can find some schools cruising the grass, and you can catch those on spinnerbait or a rattle trap or crankbait on the edge of that grass. Later in the day, because with the deeper docks in them have been the best. Skip a jig back under that dock as far as you can, or even a Cinco style bait. You can catch you some big ones way back in that shade, but the key is to get it really far back in there. At night, chase the lights. There's lights on the end of the docks, and those fish really concentrate around those lights. Lake Decker, it's fishing well around the discharge. Those fish are schooling. You're catching them on 3-inch swim baits. That's just a great way to catch those fish. Later in the day, work the thick grass edges with a shad-colored fluke or a little crankbait. Stole a picture there of that giant that was caught at Choke Canyon. That bass weighed 14.69 pounds, was caught in a San Antonio Bass Club tournament last weekend.
Well, congratulations to that dude. Thanks for digging up that picture for us, bub. Tell us about the white bass or hybrids.
Lake Somerville, the white bass and hybrids are schooling. The white bass have been doing really well on chartreuse, white, or lime green slab spoons in that 19 to 24 foot of water on the humps and the main lake points. If you don't, you got to keep your eyes open for them on top. They'll be busting on top off and on all day. When they're not up, you look for them on your electronics and drop the spoon through them. But the key to catch the bigger whites and hybrids, they're below the surface cooler. So you need to get that slab spoon to fall through and hang on, because that's a great way to catch a big one.
All right, bud, thank you so much. You got a photo here? Tell me about it.
Yeah, that's Greg Boyce with Anglers Angle Guide Service with a big old hybrid from Somerville. Caught him on a slab last week, just like we're talking about. Let it fall down under the whites.
All right, we appreciate your hard work this week. Matt, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the lower fresh hot spots. He says Lake Somerville, white bass and hybrids are showing out. And guess what? You might want to check out the schools on the main lake points and that can be caught on top waters, crankbaits and slab spoons. And to catch the bigger hybrids, you want to let that spoon fall below the surface whites.
It's okay. We'll get there. It's fine. It's okay.
What's up?
What's up, Rick? Welcome. All right, we're going to meet in the middle and head to the Star Charm Middle Fresh region, where the Loche Man is taking us fishing this weekend. Loche Man on Richland Chambers, Toledo Bend, Sam Rayburn, LBJ, and Lake Buchanan. Hey, Matt.
Hey, Bree. Yeah, I've got a pretty wide-ranging report on the largemouth bass this week, so I'm going to get right to it. Up at Richland Chambers, Mr. Thurman Selman up there is still catching the largemouth pretty good. He's catching them mostly on plastics, fished around the docks that provide good shade, to chase that shade to keep those fish that are hiding from the summer heat. He also said that some fish are being caught on deep points using deep diving crankbaits, so you might try that as well. Then down here at Toledo Bend, the bass are being caught on worms and crankbaits near the mouth of the creek. The depth varies a lot on that deal this time of year, because it could be a creek back in the, further back away from the main lake, or it could be a creek way on the main lake. So the depth could be anywhere from 5 to 20 foot, but the pattern's still the same. Look for those sweet spots in the mouth of those creeks. Bass Assassin tap-out worm rigged on a shaky head in red bug color is my go-to right now for fishing this pattern. And I kind of adjust the size of the shaky head for the depth. You might go light for the shallow ones and heavier for the deep spots. Some big fish are also being caught shallow at night right now. And so if you'd like to get out there and do the night fishing thing in the dark, you can catch some really nice-sized fish doing that right now. We just had a 10-pounder caught last week doing that. Over at Sam Rayburn, there's still a lot of fish being caught. Bigger ones are pretty tough to come by right now. They're being a little elusive. But most of the bigger fish that are being caught are out off the bank on crankbaits and big worms. A lot of guys are still catching fish up around the bushes as well. Even though the water's been coming down and some of those bigger fish are getting out, the lake is still a foot above pool level, which means there's a lot of great shallow cover in the water still. So on that lake, you can kind of fish a lot of different patterns. Just go concentrate on whichever fishing type that you like to do. If you like to flip the shallow heavy cover, you can do that. Or if you like searching for deep schools, you can do that as well and be successful at either way. I've also got a report from a new guy, Mr. Jared Poole, with Hill Country Hammer Guide Service. He's fishing down there near that Hill Country area, LBJ and Buchanan, some of those lakes, catching some real hammers. He said that he's been catching them good on 10-inch Texas rigged worms and rock piles, about 15 to 20 foot of water. And he's also catching some on topwater frogs in the water willow early in the morning and late in the evening. And I've got a photo here for you of Jared himself with a real nice fish he caught recently. And if you'd like to take a trip with him, just look him up at hillcountryhammer.com. He'll set you up. Jared also tells me that the stripers and the hybrids have been being caught really well down on Lake Buchanan. And these fish are hanging around sandy points and being caught on topwater baits. Never done that? That's some action you want to get in on. A big striper on topwater is some of the most fun you can have fishing. And lastly, I'm going to touch on the crappie back at Toledo Bend. They're still biting pretty well. Having to fish quite a few spots throughout the day to catch a bunch, but the action's still good. We just aren't catching a ton of fish on each spot. The key is just to keep moving, catch a few here and a few there. Before you know it, you got a nice mess of them for dinner. They're still hanging in that 15 to 30 foot of water range and around the standing timber. They're biting that Panfish Assassin Monkey Milk jig really well right now. And to finish out here, I got a photo for you of Miss Bridget and my dad there, photo bomber. She got herself a nice crappie. We caught right through that during that tropical storm we had this last weekend.
Nice.
Go, Bridget.
Check out Dad in photo bomb. Digging it. All right, man, we're going to go ahead and check out the Middle Fresh hotspots. Matt says that this week we should probably use worms and cranks that are producing bass on Richland Chambers, Toledo Bend, Sam Rayburn, and LBJ. And then the stripers and hybrids are eating topwater baits on sandy points at Lake Buchanan. And then don't forget the crappie are biting jigs in Toledo Bend and 15 to 30 feet of water around that standing timber that he talked about, Brie.
You know anything about photobombing?
I do.
Yes, he does. All right, if you're fishing the Yeti Upper Fresh region this weekend, get ready because we have some bass catching secrets to reveal for y'all. But I think Dave has some secrets of his own to reveal over at the CCA Workbench for Rigs and Techniques.
Yep, we got some new stuff, and we're going to try to tell you how to catch one of those big blue marlins on a center console boat.
I think everyone needs to know that secret.
He
right?
got new stuff and short stuff all in the same workbench.
Oh, and Ridge. And Ridge. Ridge is a secret. All right, we'll be back, guys.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Casa Vieja Lodge. 5-star angling in beautiful Guatemala. Garmin. Join the club. Sportsman's Adventures. Fishing for adventure. And CCA Texas, a leader in marine conservation.
Yamaha's 4.2-liter V6 offshore 4-strokes. For those that like their V6 lighter, faster, and stronger. Setting new standards for power, efficiency, speed, and lightweight. Built for the rigors of offshore boating. Packed with Yamaha's legendary reliability. And now Yamaha's 4.2-liter V6 4-strokes offer a choice between digital or mechanical controls to match your rigging preference. Yamaha. Reliability starts here.
Pump up the performance in all of your engines. Kick your gas into gear with StarTron.
If you're not a member of Coastal Conservation Association, you need to be. CCA fights on a national and state level for our fishing rights so that our children and grandchildren will have fish to catch today and in the future. CCA, through their habitat programs, create oyster and artificial reefs, as well as many other habitat programs. CCA also each year releases millions of trout, redfish, and flounder, so join myself, Bree, and Dave and become a member of CCA now.
Hey, we're here at the Academy Sports Rigs and Techniques CCA Workbench, and we're talking a little bit about blue marlin fishing, something that I really like to do.
Absolutely.
And Ridge likes to do it too, but Ridge is Murphy's son, Captain Ridge here, and he's been in San Sal on chasing blue marlins on a big 39-foot contender, which is, you know, a good size center console boat. But when you're fishing for blue marlins from a center console, there's a lot of little obstacles that get in your way, correct?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of lines, a lot of teasers. We troll 5 hooks and 4 teasers.
What's the hardest part about trying to catch a blue marlin from a center console?
Doing it out of a center console, you don't get the elevation that you would get from a bigger boat.
Right.
And so with that, we
have a hard time seeing them.
Yeah, it's a hard time seeing them, and that is really the whole entire challenge, because once you see them, it's a little bit easier, as you know.
Yeah, yeah. If anytime you see a blue marlin before he eats, your chances of catching him go way up.
Yeah.
And when you're sitting down low in a center console boat, that can become a problem if you don't have an upper station.
Absolutely.
Now, I see that you've got a lot of, you said you trolled 4 teasers and 5 lines. I see a lot of these teasers you got here, like this one here. What makes this really good for the center console?
You know, with the center console, you're limited with space. You don't have a bunch of room. So Hooker
that's
Electric makes a collapsible dredge. And we put this off the back cleat. You don't need LPs. You don't need, I mean, we'd like to have them out of the wash, but with this, it allows you to have it and still be able to pull bigger stuff like you would on a bigger boat.
So do you hang this from the cleat, or?
Some guys hang them off the cleat.
Right.
Other guys, like what we do is we have them where
it's amazing how that thing all
it just
folds
collapses down. We put it away. But what we do is we have them on rods that are about three feet long, and it gets it out of the wash. And then not only that, we have our squid chain that we run on a bigger rod, and that keeps it outside the wash, but inside the short halyard.
Now we use those big, a lot of times when we were fly fishing, we'd use those 8-foot teaser rods so that we could jerk the whole lure out of the water. Because when a fish comes up and he really wants to eat that teaser, if you let him catch the teaser a lot of times, he doesn't come back.
Absolutely.
Although, when you say that, nobody can keep a teaser away from a blue marlin when he wants to eat it. Yeah. So sometimes he's going to catch it.
When he's mad, he's mad.
Right. One good thing about this dredge that you picked up here, I noticed that it has these kind of flippy flappy
mud
flaps on here, and this one here has the tails. Now these are really good for center console boats again because they don't pull as hard.
No.
If you have a 3-tiered dregs like we used in a lot of other places in Costa Rica and around the world with a ton of big heavy mullets on it, you make a thing that weighs a lot. And then when you're trying to pull that big thing through the water, it's putting a lot of tension on either your outriggers or your LPs or even your gunnels or whatever you've got those big heavy things tied to. Now, what's your favorite baits to be pulling when you're out there?
We like to pull lures, so we pull a lot of the Andy Moy lures, J-boys and plungers. We put 2 J-boys on the longs and 2 plungers on the shorts.
What do you like to pull the lures for? Why are you pulling lures?
Because they get bit. Whatever gets bit, I got to keep putting it out.
Everybody likes to pull baits these days. Everybody's using a lot of ballyhoos and those dredges, and they're going really slow.
Yeah.
And if you're in Texas and you're trying to do this for the first time, that would be the way I would not try to do it.
Yeah.
I would try, if I was in Texas and I was doing this for the first time I would try to use, just like you were taking, like 4 lures and go as fast as my stuff would let me go. Because, you know, you're not getting 10 bites out of sailfish a day or to even 10 blue marlin bites a day.
Oh, and with the ballyhoo, you don't have to drop back. You know, with the lures, you're coming tight.
Correct.
It just increases your chances of when he does come up.
And you're in a charter boat situation, so your anglers aren't
Our guys
really all
aren't
that
sitting
great.
there with their thumbs on the rods. They're waiting for it to come up. A lot of times they're not even facing the lures.
Right.
And
the lures take a lot.
Take advantage of it.
Yeah, the lures take a lot of that angler skill away. He's either going to be there or he's not. And the really good guys are about 70%, and the rest of us are about 50%. Yeah. So, yeah, he's a really good thing. Well, I really appreciate you spending the time.
Absolutely.
And hopefully we can go out there and get on some of those blue marlins on the little center console.
Absolutely. Did you feel like you were talking to Rick Murphy over there? Because I saw a proud papa right here. Good job, guys. All right, Lake Fork and Lake Welsh are the hot topics of discussion today in the Yeti Upper Fresh region, and your guy Johnny Geist is on the line, spilling all the beans. Talk to us, Johnny.
Hey, Rick and Bree. Well, let's talk about Lake Welsh. So, even though it's kind of the off-season, old hot water coal-fired plant, the bass don't know it. And most anglers, they like to come over and visit Welsh in the fall and winter, since this is where the bass, they'll be starting to spawn there in December. So if you're looking for a fun lake to fish, not much boat pressure, give Lake Welsh a try right now. You'll not only see not many fishermen on the lake, but usually 4 to 5 boats at the most this time of year, even on the weekends. So the hot water discharge area can get up to 100 degrees or more. But you can still find certain areas in the lake where the water is cooler and still hold the schools of feisty bass. So what makes Welsh so good besides the low fishing pressure is abundance of hydrilla, good green vegetation all over the lake. Since the generators require the constant cooling, there's always a good water flow current moving through that lake daily. So water's pumped in the power plant to cool the generators at the far south end of the lake, and then they discharge it about halfway up the lake. So the water's the hottest at that discharge, and then there's a strong current that pushes it all around the lake and pull back towards the dam. So that's how the power plant works. The very upper end of Lake Welsh is where we're finding them right now. It holds an abundance of bass almost year-round. We made a quick trip over there last week and boated 34 good solid black bass in a half-day morning trip. Through by 11 o'clock at 34. That hydrilla's matted all over the lake, about 10 to 15 foot of water. The grass is beginning to die back in some areas now. It's kind of turning brown, but not many bass are holding in those areas. But you find some of that bright green hydrilla beds, and it'll be loaded with bait fish and bass. The best technique to fish that hydrilla is flipping or punching the mats, and openings with the soft plastics. Our best bait last week was a 6-inch red bug colored straight tail worm. I fished this on an 8-pound line with an 8-ounce Texas sinker since the water was extremely clear in that grass. We made kind of short pitches in the small openings in the grass, and the bites came quickly on the fall. So another effective technique is punching the matted hydrilla beds. Many times the bass hold under the mats, and we use a heavy weight right on braid, and they're holding under the shade of that hydrilla. Sometimes they suspend right underneath it. Heavy weight and the creature bait works great when you're punching the mats. Here's a picture of just one of the fish we caught last week, and you can see that's a pretty good sized fish for this time of the year on a power plant lake.
I'll take it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, let's talk about some big bass on Lake Fork. Although the summertime heat's starting to take its toll on the fishermen, the big bass are still biting. Many anglers are starting to fish here at night to avoid the heat, and this is a good way to catch some big bass. Lake Fork has an abundance of boat docks that have underwater green lights, and most all of them attract bait fish, which attracts the bass, the crappie, catfish, and even the white bass. You can use crankbaits, flutter spoons, Texas rig worms. All those will help you catch fish under the lights at night. I'm still targeting the schools of big bass. They're holding out in deep structure in 20 to 26 foot of water. Main lake points and ridges, hard bottoms are the best areas. Now I'm using my new Garmin live scope unit to find and catch the big bass. Hey, with that live scope, you not only see the big ones swimming below your boat, but you can also see how they react to your lure. Sometimes it gets awfully frustrating when they turn it down, but sometimes a change in size, action, or color of your lure is all that's needed to make them bite. But sometimes they'll just shun at all the offerings, even including live bait. And when this happens, you just need to keep looking for biting fish, revisit that spot later in the day. I found that the big ones don't seem to bite every day or for very long periods of time this time of year, but when the bite's on, you can catch a bunch of them right under the boat. So, hey, that new Garmin unit's opening up a bunch of new fishing opportunities, including crappie and catching bluegill and bass. My customers, when they're amazed at the number of fish swimming around our baits, we're seeing as many of our bites happen even before we feel that bite. So with that Garmin live scope, you can also tell the size of the fish below you and how they're holding the cover. So all I have to do now is to figure out how to get them to bite all the time. Hey, Rick, look at that picture. What do you think these customers are doing on front of the boat?
They were looking at the TV, which is essentially your Garmin chart plotter. Check it out.
5 guys standing on front of the boat, and I'm back under the canopy enjoying the show, man.
I gotta tell you, maybe we need to call Garmin and have them send you another one for the back so you can at least spread those jokers out.
Hey, Bill, look at that picture there. My nephew, Kevin Gass, came over. We caught a 9.60. We saw him bite that bait on that Garmin right under the boat.
That's so cool.
Good size bass.
Man, Johnny, I'm gonna have to come do that with you.
We're going to do it, man. Now, here Garmin won Best of the Show Nightcast last week with the brand new trolling motor. Guess I better start saving up again.
You better, bub. All right, well, thank you so much.
Come see us.
All right, thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the upper fresh hotspots. Johnny says Lake Welsh, the water temperature is 90 degrees and the bass are holding the green hydrilla in 6 feet. You want to use a Texas rig or drop shop in red bug worm. And then Lake Fork, the water temperature is 86 degrees and the bass are holding 20 to 26 feet of water. Use a football jig or a shaky head in green pumpkin.
Saving up. I think you know a few people to help Johnny out, don't you?
I can help him with that.
We got you. All right, there's something magical about the Baja Peninsula and its rugged beauty that keeps visitors coming back time and time again. Los Cabos, where the stunning desert landscape meets the incredibly blue waters of the Pacific Ocean and the Sea of Cortez, offers up endless vacation possibilities in one of the most striking yet relaxed locations in all of Mexico. There's no shortage of good food, good friends, and good times on any visit to Los Cabos. For decades, anglers, vacationers, and celebrities have flocked to this idyllic landscape to fish in some of the world's richest waters, explore the vast desert beauty, or just unwind in the area's luxurious 5-star resorts. No matter what your budget, a visit to Los Cabos fulfills all of your holiday dreams. And when the sun goes down, Cabo lights back up. You can enjoy fine dining in an intimate seaside location or dance the night away in some of the most eclectic nightclubs on the planet. The good times are just getting started after dark in Los Cabos. So to get a head start on your planning to Los Cabos vacation this year, go to visitloscabos.travel. Oh man, I just got caught up in that. That was so beautiful.
When you ready?
I'm ready. Let's go.
I think the whole team needs to go.
I think so too.
All right.
I think it sounds great.
Just like Johnny, we better start saving our money.
Yeah, let's save. All right, we're checking out what the Fish Bites Upper Coast and Middle Coast regions have to offer next on the Texas Insider Fishing Report. But before we go, we want to remind you that if you want to catch up with our crew and everything fishing in Texas, make sure to visit our website, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, watch us on YouTube, and check us out on Instagram. We'll be right back.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Contender Boats, always in the game. Bass Assassin and Saltwater Assassin, the best lures, period. CCA Star, fishing fun for giant prizes and scholarships. And Project Smokehouse, a link above.
An entirely new species of extreme predator is moving offshore. The Yamaha 5.6-liter V8 XTO offshore outboard. Extreme big block thrust and power in the industry's first direct injection 4-stroke. Quiet, efficient, powerful, and proven Yamaha reliability. More than an outboard, it's a fully integrated power system. The all-new Yamaha V8 XTO offshore.
As close as you're gonna get to a sure thing for catching billfish is Guatemala.
They're here, man. This has been a 20-year run, buddy. These things haven't left, there's no cycle. When it comes to sail fishing, this is the real deal.
The amount of sailfish here is ridiculous.
Sorry, I was just having myself a Project meat snack real quick.
I
All right.
smell the sausage.
Yes, you do. All right, welcome back. If you know who Guy Harvey is, the first thing you probably think about is his beautiful artwork and his famous sleek signature. But he does so much more with research and conservation than you can possibly imagine. So Rick, let's see what the Guy Harvey Research Institute has been up to lately.
All right, let's do it.
Hey Rick, great to be back on your show. I'd like to be there with you, but I'm on an expedition in one of your other favorite places. Welcome to Isla Mujeres. We're back on this beautiful island doing whale shark research and also helping to spread the word about plastic waste in our oceans. We're currently working with the Mexican scientist Rafael de la Parra to tag and track whale sharks in the Western Atlantic. Last year, we started following 4 whale sharks with satellite tags, and they have traveled a combined distance of 28,000 miles. Here's a sample of that tracking. As you can see, one whale shark even traveled from the Caribbean to parts of the Atlantic, way past Bermuda. Another spent a great deal of time within the Gulf of Mexico. It's important to understand the migration patterns of these animals so we can help protect them. We're also here with the group called 4Ocean, who are doing everything they can to help the world become more aware of how much plastic is actually in the ocean. If you buy a whale shark bracelet or t-shirt, you'll help support our whale shark research. And Rick, of course, thanks for all your help in the past in tagging the mako sharks. You know that 30% of our tagged mako sharks have been caught and killed, and that has helped lead to some big changes in the way the mako sharks are managed. Remember, you can track a variety of marine pelagic species on the GHRItracking.org website. Later this summer, in August in fact, we head back to Costa Rica. Here we'll be tagging and tracking blue marlin in the Pacific and getting in the water with some silky sharks. This is a species that is still poorly understood. According to the research by Dr. Mahmoud Shivji at Nova Southeastern University's Guy Harvey Research Institute, the silky shark has been hit really hard in the shark fin trade for several decades. Dr. Shivji's genetic work also shows that they were the second most caught shark in the shark fin trade. It's no wonder that populations of silky sharks have gone down by over 90%. Speaking of genetics, we are scheduled soon to go to the Pacific to work with white sharks, and my daughter Jessica will be there for her very first visit. We're doing that to support the Guy Harvey Research Institute work on white shark genomics and that creature's great ability to heal. So, as you can see, Rick, it's from whale sharks to white sharks and silky sharks in between. It promises to be a very sharky year. We'll see you soon.
Boy, the Ocean Foundation really got a lot of great projects going on, and
Yes,
congratulations to Guy. He just keeps working. He's endless. He just never stops.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you so much for that. All right, you want redfish, trout, wahoo, and mahi in the Fish Bites Upper Coast region? Yeah, well, our Captain Carl Weston can do just that for you this weekend. So let's listen closely. Okay, Carl, we're all ears.
Hey guys, the bite is really hot right now. The redfish are thick on the channel in Sabine Pass, and in the channel. Since the channel is full of all types of structure, the redfish are going up and down, looking for bait. It's your time to use crankbait, like we use on the jetties, and throw normal, tails up and down the rocks until you can pinpoint the school. Once you find them around those shallow rocks, you can throw spinnerbait, square bill crankbaits, or wake bait. Then back around the grass shoreline, you can switch over to a 4-inch bass assassin shrimp underneath a popping cork. That's been working really well. We have a picture of my good friend Stretch here with a nice redfish today.
Nice.
Then, all right, moving to trout. The trout bite is hot also. You guys need to get out there. The fish are hopping right now. Fishing over the oyster reefs is a ticket. There's lots of shad out there right now, and their bellies are full of them. So when targeting either of these fish, use your soft baits like Mirror shad. These are working great right now. And so, yeah, plenty of shad, plenty of bait. Moving on offshore, let's talk a little bit about wahoo. Since the water in the past few weeks has really improved offshore, we've found weed lines and nice current breaks, 30 to 60 miles and out to 80 miles. Yes, Tuesday we found a log about 40 miles out, loaded with bait. So we decided to troll, and we rigged up some R&R Wahoo Magnet Seniors with ballyhoo. On our second pass, we hooked a real nice Dorado. The next pass, we hooked a nice Wahoo. And on the third pass, back to back, we hooked a nice Ling. So don't pass anything up floating right now in the blue water. And the great thing about these R&R Wahoo Magnets, they're already rigged with cable. So you don't have to worry about Wahoo or Kings biting them off with those sharp teeth. Try to keep your speed about 5 to 7 knots right now with this warm water. And check your baits often because you'll get weeded up pretty quick right now. And we have a picture of Trisha with a pretty wahoo.
Nice.
Pretty.
All right. What else you got for us, bub?
We got Dorado. Dorado are hot too. So ladies and gents, if you haven't been out yet to catch Dorado, it's time. There are plenty of weed lines, lots of debris floating everywhere. We're bringing in some real nice boxes of fish right now. Try catching these little guys on light tackle. It's a blast. Spinners, bait casters can make this, really fun fishing. And most any kind of swim bait will work right now. If it doesn't do the job, take a small hook, tip it with shrimp or squid flavored fish bites. We've been using that, cast it to the fish. It's been working like a champ. Remember, Dorado like a fast retrieve, so burn that bait back to the boat as fast as you can. And you actually see these fish light up and chase your bait. And then get your mop and wash down handy. You'll need it. And here's a picture of Captain Chico with a Mahi 6-pack.
All right, well, thank you so much, Carl. I appreciate it. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the mirror lure hotspots from the Upper Coast region. Carl says that redfish on the Sabine Channel throwing spinnerbait, square-bill crankbaits, wake baits, and 4-inch bass assassin shrimp under a popping cork. And then offshore, wahoo on the weed lines and the current breaks trolling 5 to 7 knots with R&R Wahoo Magnets rigged with a ballyhoo.
All right, let's mosey on down to the Middle Coast region where the wind is light and the surf is right, and you're going to be Bink Grimes today. How about that?
Well, I guess he's in a thunderstorm, and
he's probably fishing.
Keep breaking up or something. But you know what, Bree? I'm going to let you read the report while I hold up all the lures.
Okay,
How's that work?
I'm Bink today.
There
that
you
sounds
are, Bink.
great.
Go ahead, Bink. Go ahead, cute Bink.
Let's go.
All right, let's go.
All right, inshore species trout. Light north winds means one thing in July, the surf is right. We have been waiting for a while this summer for green tides to creep along the beach. It did this week, and large trout were wading in the first gut. Most waders threw topwater she dogs early on the incoming, then switched to 51 mirror lures, soft beans, and any soft plastic. Live baiters crushed limits early with live croakers. Boaters tossed baits in the first gut, but really worked on trout around midday as tides fell and trout eased off the beach and staged on the edge of the second gut in about 5 feet of water. When the surf produces, so does the bay, and often boat traffic is light because everyone is in the Gulf. Several captains reported multiple 7-8 pound trout this week while wading reefs in East Matagorda Bay with croakers. Guide Lee Warmke found trout to 30 inches released on topwaters and soft plastics. West Matagorda Bay continues to produce. Sand and grass flats closer to the Port O'Connor Jetty and Pass Cavallo saw similar results on sheep pups, super spook juniors, and down south lures. Port O'Connor anglers have been enjoying consistent catches over mid-bay reefs in San Antonio Bay. Guide Lynn Smith saw a great topwater bite early in the morning over sand and rafts of mullet. Later in the day, he's been throwing chicken on a chain, bass assassins, in about belly to chest deep of water. Freeport and Surfside anglers have been working the surf and jetties with live shrimp for trout. Pluggers have tossed mirror lures, bass assassins, and Little Johns. Rockport anglers have been working sand and grass potholes with topwaters early in the day. The surf around Port Aransas has been hot on sheep pups and mirror lures and on Little Johns under a popping cork. And we have here a photo of Dave Brown, who brought his 5-year-old daughter fishing, and it was a banner day in the surf. Oh, look at that.
She's
so
awesome.
Adorable. I can't wait to take Mia fishing like that.
All right, so what you got for the next? You want me to read the redfish?
Unless you're bored with me.
No, go
Inshore
ahead.
redfish.
I can never be bored with
Our
you.
redfish guides in Matagorda know things get tough when water temps reach the upper 80s and tides fall 1 to 2 feet below normal in July. Makes for tough fishing and locals normally holding 2 feet of water on a high tide. The best pattern lately has been drifting in the middle of East Matagorda Bay. All those redfish on the south shoreline have no choice but to fall to the deep shell in the middle of the bay. We look for slicks and drift behind the oily sheen with gulps and live shrimp under a mid-coast cork. The jetty is the other consistent redfish player in July. Most of the fish are near the bottom and best on live baits like finger mullet, croaker, and large table shrimp. The Gulf shrimp season reopened July 15th, and there are lots of jumbo white shrimp tight to the beach, and those same shrimp ride the incoming tide through the jetty, and those redfish wait to gobble them up. In Freeport and Surfside, lots of bull redfish are just off the beach in 20 to 30 feet of water. Don't be surprised if you run into a tarpon out there. Silver kings are beginning to show regularly a few miles off the beach. All right, Rick, you ready to go offshore?
Let's go offshore, Brie.
Guide Michael Kubeka said Wahoo and Dorado are all over weed lines from 200 feet of water and deeper out of Matagorda. Wahoo are eating rig ballyhoo and deep diving Rapala X-Raps in purple and black. Weed lines over the hilltops are holding billfish. Nighttime swordfish action has been productive out about 80 miles. All the wrecks and rigs are covered in red snapper. Sounds good to me. Out of Freeport, guide Mike Seagal said kingfish are excellent around rigs and structure on slow-trolled sardines and red snapper everywhere, he said. There are bonus mangrove snapper mixed with red snapper on sardines.
Whoa.
Whoa.
You know what?
I'm ready to go fishing in the Middle Coast region.
It sounds like you need a break.
I don't need a break.
You don't?
No.
Okay.
But you can take it for me. Let's look at the hot spots. What do you say?
All right, you know what? But I want to talk a little bit about that slicking for a second.
Okay.
You know, a lot of times guys refer to slicking and you don't quite understand what it is. And they have tremendous amount of wind in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
So you're running along and there's a little ripple on the water. And a lot of times you have what they call wind rows, which are the white lines that are caused by the wind that's blowing over 10 to 12 knots.
Right.
The tighter the wind rows, the more the wind. So the closer those lines are, meaning the higher the volume of the wind. However, you're running along and all of a sudden it looks like somebody hung a chum bag over the water.
Yep.
And so the water is slick. That, my friends, is where you want to start fishing.
Mm-hmm.
You can throw, as they say, you can throw scented plastics, you can throw live shrimp under a popping cork, whatever it is you want to do. Make sure you get to near the bottom, check your bottom machine, see how deep it is, set your cork so that you're only a foot or so from the bottom with a jig and a shrimp or a jig and a soft plastic.
All right, well,
How's
look at
that
us.
work for you?
I think the Middle Coast region is ours now.
All right,
Bink,
we own
you can't have it back.
All right, Binksies every week. All right, buddy.
Every week.
We'll talk to you next week. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots for the Middle Coast region. Bink did say the surf has been hot when the wind allowed. Work the first gut on the incoming tide with top waters, and then work the edge of the second gut on the falling tide with top waters and mirror lures. And if you prefer natural baits, live shrimp and croakers have been deadly. You know, speaking of the beaches and the guts,
Yeah.
you know, we have Alvi Reels, which is an Australian company that makes surf casting stuff.
Yes.
With a
They're
13-foot
amazing.
rod and a 4-ounce sinker, we're throwing close to 350 feet. So now
Whoa.
you can stand on the beach and reach the second gut, the third gut, get out past the surf.
Big gut.
Yeah, man.
Big gut thrower.
Big guts, just
Big
like
guts,
this one.
big guts, yeah,
Yep.
we're here. All right, the saying goes that lightning never strikes the same place twice, but in the case of Louis DeLeon, that couldn't be further from the truth. Last summer, Louis did something 50,000 Texas anglers hope for every year. He caught a tagged redfish. Unfortunately, Louis had not entered the tournament and received an earful from his dad and brother about entering every year. Luckily for him, he was able to redeem himself this year, almost to the exact day a year later in the same spot. Lightning struck again. Congratulations, Louis.
Dude,
that is
Louis.
You need to do some other things with that.
You need
Enter
to
the
quit
lottery.
fishing, go into the priesthood. Because we could use a guy like you to keep us living right.
Oh my goodness. All right. Preach it. Preach it. All right, stay with us, Texans, because coming up, we're headed even further south to the Garmin Lower Coast region. But since we're fresh off of ICAST, Dave, you got to have some good stuff
The
over
sun
there.
will come out tomorrow.
I know,
I
it
certainly
smells
will.
good. All right.
I hope that's not the jalapeno flavor.
He's just seeing me. Yeah.
You ain't
No
gonna be,
jalapeno. All right.
be tearing
We'll
up,
be back
baby.
and we'll be eating that.
Oh,
Sounds good.
I love
See you
it.
later.
Summer sausage.
The
In
Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yeti, built for the wild. Ameritrail, load, launch, relax. Turn on the bite anytime. Tie on a Mirror, Building Conservation Trust, CCA's National Habitat Program, and StarTron, cures and prevents ethanol fuel problems.
At the pinnacle of super high output, 4-stroke outboard performance, you'll find Yamaha VMAX SHO. Yamaha's game-changing SHO technology. From exhilarating V6 models to the sleek inline 4s, there's a VMAX SHO for everything from bass to bonefish. It's an extended family of 4-strokes engineered for lightweight, inspiring performance, and rock-solid reliability. Discover VMAX SHO and elevate your expectations.
Oh, there it is.
You can either stay busy fishing or get busy catching. From Texas to Tampa Bay or Key West to the Carolinas and beyond. For nearly 20 years, anglers everywhere have come to know one thing, that nothing says no to fish bites. Ask for Fish Bites and Fish Bites Fight Club lures by name or visit fishbites.com.
Over 40 years ago, Mr. Proshek began smoking meat in a little Texas town called Hilgi, combining fresh, grade A ingredients to create a variety of legendary smoked meats. Today, Proshek's Smokehouse is a Texas tradition, and now Proshek's not only satisfies hunger in Texas, but across the country. Visit Prosheks.com and order everything from fresh meats to your choice of jerky. Proshek's meats are made by Prosheks, sold by Prosheks, and can be delivered in as little as a day. Proshek Smokehouse, a link above.
Today's Power Pole tip of the week is about the Pro Series 2. Now guys, this particular pole was designed specifically for technical poling skiffs like this Maverick. And the reason why I like it so much is when I hook a fish like this, now what can happen is that Ridge can actually deploy the pole by simply pushing the key fob 2 times. And while the pole's going down, he's getting down. And why this works so well is there's no more having to stake out the push pole, tie off to a rope on the back of the transom, and now he's up here to assist me in landing this fish. That to me is total boat control. So remember, it's very lightweight. If you need a pole for a technical poling skiff, that 4-foot Pro Series is perfect for this application. And that's today's Power Pole Tip of the Week. It's a good one there, Rich. You know, Dave, our lower coast...
Mustard spicy.
No, our lower coast guy, Chad, has a brand new HPXS, and the Power Pole, getting down with his customers have a fish. He's learning about that.
That's very nice.
Little technical skiffs.
Well, we're going to talk a little bit about some pliers. First off, these are the CCA DuraHold grip pliers. They're the 7.5-inch pliers. They're called the DuraHold because of the grips that they have on them. If you feel those grips, it's really interesting material that they're made out of. It's kind of like a neoprene, but not a closed cell neoprene is what it feels like. Right. But you can really get a good grip on them, and they're very corrosion resistant pliers. A high strength carbon steel body all the way through it. It's got a forged center cutter. This center cutter here in the middle is for your wire, and then they have a tungsten carbide cutter down here on the bottom if you want to cut mono or braid.
Nice.
So exactly, you don't have to worry about using your good braid cutters to be hacking at a piece of wire and breaking your putting
a little dent in your cutters.
They also comes with a nice molded nylon sheath and a lanyard, and you can get those at Academy and CCA online, I think, or maybe not Academy. I don't know. CCA online too?
No.
Okay, I just
You
want
can
to make
get it at
sure.
both, but the
You
good
looked at
part
me
is-
like I was saying something wrong there for a second.
No, I just want to remind everybody that, when you buy something at Academy that's
Correct.
a CCA product, you're actually donating back to CCA.
Gets us some money, gives them some money. All right, next, we've all, if you're fishing offshore at all, you're going to use an island lure at one time or another. And these island lures here, you can see, are a little different from the old island lures. And that's because the old island lures had nylon hair for skirts. And their reasoning for that, and it's still true to this day, is that hair is very easy for the fish to get through and bite through, and just to really, you don't even need to put a ballyhoo in there in any of these lures actually. But now, because a lot of the fellas prefer rubber skirts, Island Lures is now making all of their offshore lures with the rubber skirts, just like where all the other fellas are used to. I still think that you can get away with the hair, but these will work just as good. You got the Express and the Island Lure and the Sea Star there, which is my favorite.
And the good thing is, they still make both.
Correct.
So you have your choice.
That's true.
It's hard to beat a blue and white Islander hair.
I'm telling you. Any island lure, if you drag it over something, he's going to eat it.
Yep.
Next, we have, it's summertime, and in the summertime, it's sausage time for the summer sausage from Prosex. This is we got the original here, and we also have some of the jalapeno and cheese. I know that you like a Triscuit and some hot mustard with your sausage. I just like to eat my sausage plain, and it's delicious any time of the year. It's great for the boat.
It is great
camp
for
trips. The boat. It's 14 ounces. It's quite a bit of meat for $6.
$6.
Imagine if 14 ounces of jerky. It's expensive stuff, but this is really good, lean, well-made sausage. You don't eat the stuff and feel all greasy.
And that's what impresses me is the price of their products.
Prosex.com.
Yeah, man.
Right.
I'm
Next,
gonna try that.
You're not going to be able to talk for a minute. All right, next we have some Imperium Outfitters lures. Now, we saw these at ICAST, and what really makes these lures different is that they are made with a thermal printing, the 3D printing, the little 3D printers. They have 20 of those machines running at all times, and they can put in all kinds of weird designs that you can't get on a lathe. You can't, and holes drilled in them in places where you could never get a drill to go straight through. They can, when they print the lure on those 3D printers, they can put anything down the middle that they want. All kinds of chambers and bubble areas and all kinds of really cool stuff. The heads you feel them, they're indestructible, it seems like. I don't know what that kind of stuff is that they're printing that stuff with, but it's incredibly hard. And that's the Beluga is the other one. Actually, that's the beluga. So you can see it's got a big, giant jet head in the top of it, and the other one's called a toad. Go to Imperium Outfitters and check them out. They've got all kinds of different heads, from big marlin lures to all kinds of little stuff too. Next, real quick, we've got the Bubble Box live well kit from Marine Metal Products. And what this thing does is you can turn any cooler into a live well. You got these two grommets right here. You drill a hole through, and that allows you to run your tube through the side, so you're not having to run it underneath the lid and squashing it and cutting off your bubbles. You can either mount it with the suction cups or the screws, and it also has a little tool thing you can wrap around there as well.
We gotta go. We'll have to redo that.
Bubble Box live well.
All right, Bree, where are we going next?
All right, if you want to catch it all and look good doing it in the Garmin Lower Coast region, then pay attention to Captain Chad Kinney for all things inshore, offshore, and beyond. Close us out, Chad.
I tell you what, I'm excited. We got a middle of the season here. We got our best season coming up, I think, for offshore and bay. So I talked to Doug Stanford up there in Port Aransas, Pirates Bay Charter. He gave me some really good info. Said the trout bite's been really, really good around the Corpus Christi wellheads. They're free line and live croakers working best. You can use a chatter weight on this, or even just attach a ball bearing swivel. It's about 24 inches of fluorocarbon leader, about 30, 40 pounds, works good. And the 5 to 7 aught Kale hook works on that stuff really good. If you're so just some tips there. If you're fishing a spinning reel and you're fishing that live bait, go ahead and open the bail up, put your index finger on that line, use it as a trigger finger. When you get a bite, let them run, for 5 seconds, 10, 15 feet, click it over, go ahead and set the hook. And if you're using a bait caster, same thing, click it down, put it in free spool, have your thumb on it, and you get that bite, let them do it. Reason for this, all those fish, those trout, whether you're using live mullet, piggy, pinfish, they're going to hit them head first, and they'll flop them around in order to get it down their gullet. So that'll give them time to go ahead and swallow that, and you're still going to be hooking them right on the side of the lip 90% of the time. So also, when you start moving over and throwing plastics, I've been using a lot of the saltwater assassins, the shad, the magic grass. I've been using a bunch here lately. I've been really liking that one. And then the slamming chicken's working good. And if you're going to that deeper water, use a heavier jig head. Go to a 1/4 or 3 ounce jig head and let it sink down a little bit like that. Jig it through the water column. You start going in the shallower stuff, of course, lighten that up to an 1/8 ounce jig head. And got a picture of a beautiful trout here. Got a Hagen Chapel here. Got a monster trout, his biggest one personally, and got it released there.
That's not a trout.
I couldn't hold that sound back.
That's Troutzilla.
That's real, bub. Tell us about the redfish, Chad.
So, yes, the redfish is, it's really turned on around the lower coast, around the jetties. I'll get back in those flats here later on the season goes, but Fort Mansfield, Port A, it's been really good mid-morning, especially with the tidal movement. There's been a ton of finger mullet running through the surf and the edges of the rocks and stuff like that. Live finger mullet, croaker working really good. Also try some fish bites. Fight Club sending lures with fish bites pretty good with the heavier jig head like that. And most of these reds actually are in the slot size, which is a really good thing if you're looking to take some food home. And anchoring up works really well. So you can anchor out and kind of fish those washouts and the drop-offs and the eddies and stuff like that there. It's been a real quick bite. It'll turn on and off real fast. But got a picture here. Buddy of mine, Eric Sauls with Sea Spade Charters out of Mansfield. He caught all those fish in 30 minutes. I couldn't even keep up with them.
Wow.
So
Nice.
moving to snapper. Federal water snapper fishing is still remaining really good. There's been a lot of shark activity from what I've seen here around the reefs and rocks. So if you're looking for snapper only, the sharks move in on you. It's time for you to get up and move. Another way to help this out is use kind of the less bloody bait, some cleaner stuff. So start out if you got squid or spot croaker. Like we got fresh spot croaker off our boats here at Laguna Madre Baits. We'll use that. If you're using mentate and sardines, bonita, the sharks will move in quicker with that greasier stuff and it'll ruin your snapper bite. Most of the better fish are suspended, so utilize your Garmin machine to see where those fish are at in the water column and target that depth there and go through there and they have some better stuff over there. And then moving over to the blackfin tuna, we get the shrimp boats. As everybody said, they're open up to 15, so they're out there deep. Looking for blackfin, rule of thumb, at least hit 150 foot or deeper and hit these deeper shrimp boats. Even when they're dragging, guys, I'll pull 3 lines by them. Use a mirror lure 25-foot divers, also islanders behind the boat. I like pulling the islander down the middle of the tube divers on the flats there. But there's plenty of bonita and tuna action, and also you still might get a wahoo or dorado pop up in there, which will really hit good. This is going to be really good from now till late October until we get those big cold fronts. Same thing here. Use those Garmins to locate those fish. They're going to be balls of bait. So if you see that net dragging on the bottom, you'll see it with your Garmin. You'll see that bait ball hanging down lower, and it'll go up when their nets come up. And then later in the day, they'll start going down, deeper when they're anchored up. So kind of locate where they're at and put your baits as close as you can, too, with them. And fishing for these things, I like using like an Okuma combo, 20 to 30 wide, even a 20 lighter like that. It's a lot more fun fishing with these things, and you get a great action. And you can come back in later for your snapper.
So, Chad, I know you got a new HPXS Maverick, a little shallow running technical pole and skiff. How you like it, bub?
Man, I am loving it. I'll be sending you some reports and stuff. Now I'm fishing a ton of spots I could never get to, and I've had plenty of good action. So it's like opening a whole new world to me. It's been great.
Well, we're going to talk more about that, and you and I are going to be selling them before long, so I can't wait to get that started. But it's time for to go to the hot spots for the lower coast region. Chad says inshore trout. The bite has been good around the wellheads in Corpus Christi Bay. Redfish has been good around the jetties in Port Aransas and Port Mansfield. And then offshore, hey man, you might want to go red snapper fishing. The fishing is excellent in federal waters, and blackfin tuna action has been good around those deeper shrimp boats.
All right, well, that wasn't a bell. That was all of our beautiful Yetis over here.
I know, it sounded like you rang a bell.
It was like ding, ding, ding. But anyway, speaking of Yeti, Yeti has come out with some great new products that we saw at ICAST.
Yes.
Dave, you're a new products guy, so is there anything you saw that you were like, whoa?
Well, I like the Go Box thing that we had
The Go
a
Box.
little while ago.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
And
Well,
the
not
chairs.
just the Yeti, just in general.
The chair like we have.
The Yeti chairs.
I like
Yeti
those
chairs.
Yeti
Those are pretty
chairs.
comfortable.
They're nice.
A blanket. Is this all secret? Do you know they have a blanket now?
I didn't know they
Yeti
had a
has
blanket.
a blanket. It's probably going to keep you really warm.
A Yeti
Like it
blanket?
keeps all your stuff really cold.
Oh my
right?
gosh.
All right, can we just cut some of this Prochex because I
This
didn't
is
get any
the end
sitting
of the
over
show.
on
You
there
want
in the
mustard?
dock. No, I don't want mustard.
Come on, man.
All right, guys, thanks for
You want
tuning in.
mustard,
We hope
Dave?
you catch lots of
I'm
fish
good.
this weekend.
Bye, guys.
Get your summer
Thanks.
sausage, Prochex.
I've been eating that thing all day.